This is the 22nd season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Yes, I know it's hard to believe. I think it feels like it's been 5 weeks, I'll tell you that, since we've had a full in-studio show started the week before the Bassmaster Open on Grand Lake of the Cherokees. And then we went up to Minnesota for the Dick Hiley St. Jude Bass Classic, and then the Pro Guide Hope Classic on Table Rock Lake. And then we headed to Kentucky Lake for another Bassmaster Open. And then I just got back from Lake Gunnersville, and we are back in the saddle for an exciting week of BTL. We're going to get caught up on some things that have happened over the past couple weeks. We're going to look forward to some things that are happening in the future. I know we had a big tournament, that used to be like, I would put like when I got into this 05, 06, 07, I would put this tournament in like the big five if you were to have five tournaments, and that's the BFL All-American. BFL All-American took place this past week. We actually did, back in like 2008, an entire month dedicated to winners of the BFL All-American who went on. I mean, you're talking Shaw Grigsby's and Joe Thomas's and guys who really kind of made their career off of the BFL All-American win. Jack Story, I believe he's the youngest winner ever on Lake Murray. I think it was a wire-to-wire win. There were some interesting characters in that. We might talk a little bit about that. Right now, down the road, about 45 minutes on lovely Lake Eufaula. They're battling mid-90-degree temperatures in the MLF Pro Circuit. But one of the coolest wins that happened a couple weeks ago was the one-off Heavy Hitters event. And I've said this kind of since its inception. In 2019 when the BPT started, it was the every fish counts, and they had the 1 pound, and they've since kind of changed it and gotten it. But one of the things I think they did to kind of combat that was to create the Heavy Hitters event, where you take your biggest fish from each event, and then the following year you get into big money tournament. You still have the 100,000 overall winner, but then each round you have the biggest fish. But an unintended byproduct of that is you got a chance to see anglers who maybe weren't on the BPT anymore, had moved it, had retired, had done that. And we had that this past Heavy Hitters in Orange Lake in California. I mean, right out of the gates, big show. Terry Scroggins, who isn't on the BPT anymore. We saw him. We had Gary Klein in it. And Dave Lefebre, who, I mean, quite frankly, had been a while since Dave Lefebre. I mean, we're talking about a guy with 60 top tens, $2.7 million in career earnings, some iconic sponsorships. But I don't think going into that event, guys were thinking, oh, man, this looks like it could be a clean sweep for Dave Lefebre. Yeah, he wasn't on the BPT. And then he went out, and one of the coolest stories, every once in a while, just when you are like, oh, this thing is going downhill and there's so much negativity, you get one of these little nuggets. And that was the case at Heavy Hitters a couple weeks ago. So we have Dave Lefebre. We're going to bring him on. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. You know how I like to go in the archive. I mean, if you remember, I'm a big fan of the old school FLW days, and I would put Lefebre in the top three. He had the Keebler, but man, that Frosted Flakes wrap for that time period in his life with the Tony the Tiger on the side with the kind of blue and orange, that's kind of burned into my brain. So we'll talk a little bit about that with him. We're going old school this week. You got Lefebre on today. I'm going to record with Brandon Cobb, who's having a heck of a year on the NPFL and the Bassmaster Elite Series after this, and then Cliff Pace tomorrow morning. And then I was floating around at the Bassmaster Open on Kentucky Lake, and I glance over, and there is none other than the David Walker sitting next to me on the water. So I said, dude, I need to get you on BTL. So I followed up. So we have David Walker on Wednesday, a full lineup of shows. But let's get right into today's show. Dave Lefebre joining BTL. You've been on BTL before, but it's been a while. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's cool to see you still chugging along, man. This is awesome.
Chugging along is a great That's
what
way.
I'm doing, so I figured you're about the same.
I hear that. Am I wrong with the All-American? I know that you've had several close calls with the All-American. You finished second in the All-American in 2004. And no knock, I mean, things change, things evolve on that. But did you see the All-American, and as you were coming up and started in the early 2000s, I mean, that was one of the career-defining tournaments to just make through the BFLs, Dave.
Yeah, when I forget where the first one was. You probably tell me. I think it was Lake Hamilton, or there was another one somewhere else. But anyway, that tournament, like I was dabbling in the pros at that time. So it was right around the same time, 02, 04, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, I was like, I thought that was the pinnacle of bass fishing. I mean,
Cross Lake.
Okay, so it was in Louisiana. But I was almost irritated when I started fishing pro because of how good they treated me at the All-American. It was that much better. I never touched a door handle. I mean, they opened every door for you. I mean, it's kind of similar to the Bass Pro Tour team series events, where we don't do anything, just go out there and fish. But yeah, the All-American was, it was the goal to win that. Obviously, I made it 2 times, maybe, I think.
And then the second was Lake Hamilton, where Alan Hayes edged you out for the 100K there.
Who?
That was Alan Hayes.
Oh my goodness.
That name doesn't ring a bell to me, but he has 2 wins, 86 events, 9 top 10s. Yeah, you went 11 pounds, 9 pounds, 10 ounces, 10 pounds, 2 ounces. That sounds like a Hamilton grinder to finish second in that All-American.
It was, and you know what? I found them, and I probably never even talked about this, but I found them up way, way, way up the river, and it got crystal clear up there, and they were spawning, and it was in the summer. Like, it was way too late for them to be spawning. I don't know what time of year it was, but there was none spawning on the lake. And I found those fish up there, and on the last day, he was blowing it away. And then he really screwed up and opened the door. But of course it was that, Bass Pro Tour, we know what's going on. Yeah. I had no idea. I thought I needed a big bag. So I am passing up like multiple 2 to 3 pound fish looking for a 5 on a bed. I mean, like flying by, I'm trolling motor on highs, throw the jig in there, and they would just go nose down, and I'd be like, not big enough, and keep going. And it turned out that's all I needed was one of those. And I passed 20 of them.
Holy cow.
Sickening. But yeah,
right, so I don't know if you heard my opening montage on the heavy hitters, but the last couple of years, one of the things we've done is, I mean, like I believe like Kevin had that too, where he like got to come back and fish heavy hitters for one event. He almost won it a couple years ago there and had some big bass, but like no pro circuit for you, not fishing the opens, not fishing the BPT in 2026, but you knew you had qualified for this event, which was the end of May. So what were you doing for the past like 7-8 months to like stay in fishing shape, to know that you had this in advance? Like, I mean, was this something that's been on your calendar that you've been thinking about, or was it just like, hey, I guess we'll just hook it up, go down to Florida and see what happens?
I mean, it's obviously been on the radar. I've never retired, but I knew stage 7 last year that was my last Bass Pro Tour event, most likely. And I never really got to say goodbye because the standings didn't come out and I was kind of close,
Mm-hmm.
So I never said goodbye to all my buddies out there and the, not just the fishermen, but the camera crew and the boat officials and the staff and all that. So I definitely was looking forward to this one, mainly just to see everybody again. But as far as like fishing shape, man, if you watch the tournament, like I'm the only one that was like, there's a lot of adrenaline going on, but at the same, and I breathe heavy anyway, but I was so out of shape. It's not even funny. I hadn't fished in a boat since stage 7. We filmed a couple. I have a little TV show up here locally called Erie Extreme. So we filmed a couple episodes, but it was just crappy fishing or whatever. And mostly ice fishing is all I did all winter. So my boat was literally, this is the first time I didn't put the boat in the garage, keep it nice and safe from the winter. And I didn't get a new boat, obviously, because I wasn't planning on fishing the tour. So I left that boat outside, stage 7. My rods were still on the front deck, literally. And I put my cover on, left it outside, never winterized it. And of course, we had the brutalest cold winter. So the day before we left for Ocala, I mean, my wife thinks I'm nuts. I'm like, because we're so busy with other things. I mean, I've never been more busy. So the day before, I drove down to the ramp, took the cover off. I'm like, oh, cool, my rods are still on the front deck. Took it down to the marina, put it in the water, made sure all the Lowrances were in tune, still working, and the ghost trolling motor, everything was good. Started the motor. There was 8-foot waves on the lake, so I had to stay in the marina, so I couldn't, put it on pad or anything, but it idled the Mercury. So, I mean, that's
the
preparation I made for that tournament.
So you get down there, and the way that they do it, they kind of do it old school wise, where they put you into different groups. So there was like Group A and Group B, and you were in Group A qualifying day 1. You're trying to make the top 8 to move on to the next one. And I didn't know that story, how you just got out. You still have the rods on the front deck. You go out and you catch 2 bass. Your big bass is a 313, and you're damn near in last place. Gary Klein was the only one who was below you. Was there anything on the radar at this point that this could be a really special event? Or were you like, I'm glad we get 4,500 show up money?
No, it was massively on the radar, but at the same time, over the last, however long it's been, 10 years, 11, I don't know, I haven't won in a while. You don't know the number of times when I went out there on day 1 and thought that it's still on the radar, and then just had stuff train wreck go wrong. But no, it was on the radar. There was a lot of little wins that were happening. Like when I got Group A, that's a win for me in itself, because I've always struggled with Group B, and it's something that's pretty fair. Like we all get A and B the same amount of times, but Group B is always tough for me because I don't know who was fishing where I might have been fishing where I was. And I don't know if it's something I really hate actually about the Bass Pro Tour. I don't know whether the fish have changed or whether they got beat up the day before. And it's just bugged the living crap out of me. So Group A was a little victory. When I saw that, this was like a week before the tournament, I'm like, okay, that's good. Because that gets in my brain so bad. So that was a win. And then getting to my area, like I didn't find anything in practice really. I had like less than 10 bites on day 1, but caught 4 big ones and saw a bunch of bigger ones blowing up on bait. And then day 2, I literally only had 1 bite, and I was trying to expand my water. So it really honed me in on the one area on day 1 that I'd got the bites in, so that was good. And then seeing the fact that there was nobody there, how when you're a tournament guy too. So, when you pull up to a spot in the morning on day 1 and it's tournament go time and there's nobody there. And
I know the feeling all too well, Dave.
Well, there's 2 things that run through your head, because when I've won, it's been like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's like, oh, I missed the boat. Where's everybody at? And you're like, ee. So I didn't know I knew I was in a good area because I had those bites. And the way that I was trying to trigger them was so erratic. You know how, that reaction bite you're trying to get? I was seeing 10-pounders blow up around me, even bigger ones, in practice both days, in the morning of the tournament before lines in. And the technique that I felt like I needed to use to get one of those fish to bite was just ridiculous, like jerking it out of the water, like a swim jig or a chatterbait, just making it come out on purpose and no control.
The Alabama shake on crack.
I guess, yeah, let's call it that. Let's phrase it, coin it now. But that was generating some strikes for me. And in practice, I just happened to get lucky, I guess, and catch some of them. In the tournament, I just lost them. Like it's so conducive to losing them, because when that thing flies out of the water, I had a 10-pounder do a backflip over it and miss it. So I had 2 8-pounders get tangled up in the grass and get off on me on day 1. And even though I was second to last, the potential was there. And I knew that was the winning spot on the lake. And I literally felt like if if I don't win it here, I did the spot a disservice. You know what I mean? That's how perfect. I mean, just on paper, on a map, looking at what it was actually, there was no better spot on the entire lake.
So then when you came back on day 2 to make the cut in the qualifying round, that was more just a matter of execution than, oh my God, I found something new.
No, it was a matter of having more opportunities. The execution's kind of everybody says that all the time. You know, in fishing, like in golf, you execute badly and you screw up a putt. Right. In fishing, a lot of times you don't execute anything on your part. It's the fish. You know, you got 2 things executing. So I don't blame myself for executing bad ever. I think it's, unless you do something wrong, you know what I'm saying? Tie a bad knot.
Yeah. So you're saying there's 2 different types of it. You try to bow flip something that you know you shouldn't. Your drag is wrong. You break a fish off in open water. You don't recheck your line. That's what you consider. Right. But you don't consider losing fish when you look back and you say, I did A, B, C, D, and E correctly and it came off. That has nothing to do with poor execution.
Yeah. What would you change? You know?
Yeah, fair.
You can't go back and practice losing fish. You know, if you execute poorly on a putt,
you have more bites that ate it right on day 2.
Day 2, but I lost more on day 2. Like, I think I had 20 fish. We counted, like lips touched my bait 20 times. The first day it was like 7 or 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
So like they were just kind of missing it a little bit, but the bites that I had were just ridiculous every single day, even the 3rd and 4th day too.
Mm-hmm. You qualify in the knockout round, you're in 8th, and then you go into the final round. Everything's zeroed. Haven't fished a major tournament like this in 8 months. Had just literally had your boat sitting out. You checked to make sure everything worked, and now you have 7.5, 8 hours, biggest bass, $100,000, overall winner, $100,000. You kind of talked about how you knew you were around fish that could get this done. Like, were the competitive juices just flowing through your body and the drive through when you got to that spot before you'd made your first cast in the morning with that much on the line?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, like, I was out of juice, out of gas by that day. Even the knockout round was tough. And that's the day when mentally you're dreaming all night who in group B is going to be in your spot. So that was also the scary part. But by championship day, I knew that nobody was really in the way. And, thinking about, everybody at the dock in the morning was saying, wow, we got a 1 in 10 chance. Even some of the interviews were like, hey, Dave, you got a 1 in 10 chance at $100,000 today. And I'm like, no, we got I'm really not good at math, but I think we got a 2 in 10 chance, or a 1 in 5.
Yeah, because you got the winner and you got the big bass. You could finish dead last with the big bass and still win, or you could win the big bass and it's the only bite you get and you're still walking out the 6-figure check. Yeah,
so you got a lot better chance, but just those are incredible odds. We don't have those odds in bass fishing hardly ever. So it's like it's just surreal. You got to bring yourself down and just realize, hey, all the hype is over. Get out there. And a lot of times I don't like that count off. You know how they do lines in and I think we have a 30-minute run around. Until you've experienced that, you have no idea. When you're running out of the channel for 45 seconds and then putting your boat down and you got, 29 minutes and 15 seconds to sit there. Usually I hate that. And usually I'm running around looking for schoolers. You're just looking for something, doing something. And then people come to their starting spot at the last minute. They come flying in there and it's go time. That's usually me. But this time I just went straight there. I knew nobody fished there the day before and power poled down, sat there and just waited. But it was good this time just to think, just to get my bearings. The big tournaments, there's just a lot of media stuff going on in the morning and lights, and we take off late anyway. So the sun's up so they can get prettier shots. So you got so much time to think when you're on the water. And I think that was a bonus for me too, just to try to calm down, just sit there and listen to the birds chirp and get out of the noise.
Were you like, you seem like a pretty, it's the word introspective. Like if you seem like you're an angler with, there's other guys that are just like, put boat in water, catch big fish, hold up, smile. But you've always been a thinker. I mean, you go back to, you got your music days and just your interview. You're, I don't want to say eccentric, eccentric. You're a little bit eccentric, Dave. I mean, were you like thinking about the past quarter century of fishing and the 29 minutes that you were sitting there and how much this meant and how thankful you were? Or were you thinking just about the next 8 hours?
I think I was just thinking about the next 8 hours, looking at my knots, checking line. What you just said, I had been doing every single night, every morning, driving to the gas station and driving to the ramp, just, there was going to be time for that stuff later. So I was more or less just making sure I didn't make a mistake, like checking my guides and just everything you could think of, getting some baits rigged up, backup ones, just trying not to waste time later. It was just totally all just about getting in tune with the day, looking around, seeing fish blow up in different places and just trying to take note of stuff. And, I knew it was going to be a rough emotional day during that 29 minutes sitting there, because you can't help but think about, stuff and opportunities. And, this is literally my last day, but I think all that stuff was just building up in me as I rigged and just, you know what I mean? Like it was just too much stuff trying to enter my brain that I was trying to keep out. And then when it finally hit me, it was like, whoa.
I like this here. Sam X says, instead of you lose the fish, maybe the fish lost me on those deals. Okay.
I gotta think about that one. Whoa.
That's deep, isn't it? Maybe the fish lost me. You don't lose the fish. Okay. So this was going on at the same place as the Open on Kentucky Lake, and I was following it up and I caught up. But how early in the day did the big bass that you caught on the final day, how early in the day did that happen?
There was 1 minute, 58 seconds and 1 minute or 1 hour, 58 minutes and 14 seconds. I think that's when I caught it. Like, so we were in 32 minutes into the last period. Okay. So roughly.
this that I'm going to show here, I believe is the fish, but it wasn't early in the day. It was later on as the day. I'm going to pull this up. Have you watched this? Obviously.
Yeah.
Let's see if
I still keep thinking, praying to God it don't get off every time I watch it.
It is this one, right?
Yep. Stay button. Yeah, it's a really nice one, I think. Yeah. I had no idea.
You're calm. Like at this point, you're not. I mean, you're just kind of taking it. You're not like going, "Oh my gosh!" at that point.
No, I can't really put it into words, but it's like I've been waiting all day for that bite. And if you rewind, like if you watch I haven't watched the entire show, but I did want to see like 10 minutes before that, because I remember saying, I need a big one. I need a big one. I need a big, you know what I mean? And when you finally get that good one, I think, second opportunity, because I lost a big one like that literally 10 minutes prior. It's just like, man, it's just, you just do what you do and you got to get them in. And Matt, I didn't know that it was a heavy hitters fish until even all these jumps, it jumped 3 times. I didn't know till I got it in my hand. I knew it was potentially, it was an 8-pound class fish, but I didn't know till it was actually coming into the boat.
It seems like it caught you a little bit out of position on the hook set, like just a little bit of a high stick.
Yeah, so,
like, did that cross your mind?
Yeah, everything's by this day, and I know some older guys maybe can relate to this. My elbow and my shoulder, both elbows actually, but this arm was spent, and I was trying to change. You remember watching Larry Nixon? Like, I'm a huge fan of this freaking sport, man. But remember when Larry Nixon was going through that, and I always thought, man, I would hate to be him. Mm-hmm. You have to change the way you do things. So I want to go across my body like backhand. It does not hurt when I'm up here. So I was consciously trying to keep it on my right ear. You know what I mean? The rod.
Yep.
But the way you're jerking it out of grass and stuff, and just at the exact minute that fish bit, I just happened to be in a bad position. I did not like the hook set, but
right about here, though, is
sharp.
right about there is where you realize there's a good one, like a good.
Yeah. It was actually before it came up. I said it just because I couldn't turn it. Yeah, that
200K. What's going through your mind right there? Especially now that we know you've had 100 pounds of fish touch your stuff, come off, not get hooked good. You know you're not in the right position on the hook set. I mean, that had to be a wild feeling.
Yeah, and then your boat official saying, "Oh my God," in the background.
Oh, was he? He was.
I don't think I don't think you can hear him because it was just my mic. But yeah, somebody behind me said, "Oh my God," and then that's when I knew like it had potential. But like I said, I didn't know it was 9 until I got it here. And then another technical mistake, like right there. This could have been a mistake, but it worked out perfectly. When I was going down to sit in the driver's seat, you can see how far my arms are stretched right there. I had no more wingspan. Like if he would have shook a tiny little bit or not just surrendered right there and went right to my thumb, it would have went, and you see it happen every day on these tournaments. It would have just went under the boat, and then I would have been
you were out right there.
I was out of line. If I missed him, my line was slack. Like, I knew it when it was happening, and I'm just like praying that it would work out, and it did. But in my brain, that was a mistake. Like, that's something I can fix.
At
that would
this
have been
point right there. Had you seen the John Hunter clip?
What's that?
Had you seen the John Hunter clip at this point?
Oh no,
it happened earlier.
See that till the next day.
Oh yeah, okay.
I heard about it.
Maybe if you were more
we're not allowed
on
to
that.
look. We're not allowed to look at anything.
I guess you wouldn't have, because I was at the Open and everybody was sending it to each other, going, "Oh my God, this is crazy."
My cameraman and boat official were talking about it in the morning because that happened. Didn't that happen the day before?
One of the days before, yeah.
Yeah, they were saying, "Wait till you see the footage back and see what happened to John Hunter." So I watched that when I was driving home. And then obviously what happened with Jake Lawrence there at the end.
Yeah. So that sucker ate it though. Like, look, I mean, that's a big one because you're wrist deep in that fish right there. Like, I mean, you had it stuck, which is also potentially dangerous with were those sharp toothed Florida strains? Because they probably were eating bait fish and not crustaceans. So they probably had some little razor sharp teeth on them.
Yeah, they're noticeably sharper. It's weird down in Florida how they're like that, but yeah, it's scary. But I mean, I had 20-pound gamma. I went up to 20 after the first day. I was using 16, and that 20 is pretty stout. So like, I don't know if there's anything that fish could have done to get away. And we also just came off a break. I mean, it was only 29 minutes in or whatever. And those break periods, we have a chance to retie, fresh everything up and stuff. So I knew everything was fresh. That was only the third bite that I had in that period.
Mm-hmm. Let's fast forward to the end then. This was kind of a cool moment.
And is the heaviest hitter of them all in the Sunshine State Showdown.
I have always imagined that the countdown, knowing that, and for all intents and purposes, all Ron Nelson had to do was catch a 3.5 pounder. How does that work to where like they're like, okay, Ron didn't catch one, like no one caught one bigger, like you have won both. Like I've always imagined that would be kind of hard to like get through your head to where you're like, God, I don't want all these emotions to flood through. And then they're like, oh, sorry, Ron boated one with 3 seconds left.
Right. In the normal tournaments, that happens because you're not on camera and JT and Chad aren't sitting there analyzing everything. So you're not, dude, the last thing I want to do is be thinking about my speech, like 2 hours to go, like an hour to go, 38 minutes to go. I'm just completely ignoring that, trying to catch one more fish, So I didn't remember that. Like when he got to 0, I was like, I ain't celebrating yet, but those guys are all watching live. So everybody knew but me that I didn't have to wait, for a minute or two.
You've won a lot of stuff, Dave. You've won a lot of stuff over the course of your career. You've had a lot of cool moments. I know this is fresh in your mind, but where does this rank?
I mean, the roller coaster ride, a lot of people were looking at that 2 hours of the clock ticking down. That's the number one comment I get from people. It's like, man, I was watching the whole, glued to it, the 2 hours. But what people don't realize, the 2 hours was the roughest 2 hours of my life. But that countdown clock for me started like 6 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a long time of things just going wrong and not understanding what, I was at a career choice. Like when I started fishing way back in 2004, is it music or is it fishing full time? What do I want to do? And it literally came down to being an office outside and not in smoke and bars. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Literally, that was my decision. Now here we are 24 years later, and it's just like, it's another one of those decisions. And this was 6 years ago. Like, I just got back to my roots and just started a ministry, to try to legitimately help people. And I wanted to spend all my time doing that. I didn't want to fish anymore. I didn't like the drama, the politics. So for the last 5-6 years, and then you'd have these little things that happen that you do better than anybody at covering the real news, what's going on. You know what I mean? So what's been going on. And this would happen like in our second year in the Bass Pro Tour. Then the third year, this would happen. Another thing would show up. And it was just beating me down. And so the main message for me is just praying to God, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I want, if we believe this God thing is real, then for crying out loud, talk to me, say something. I'm one of your kids and I'm struggling, and just thinking about it's cracking me up. But this tournament was the answer that I've been praying for 6 years. And I got so many little stories that go with it that would just blow your mind. I'm gonna be talking about some of that stuff on my TikTok soon, but I felt like I had a good story without this win. Like, I didn't need it because I already felt like I knew what I was supposed to do. Plus I got booted out of the Bass Pro Tour. That's what it took for me to quit. If I'd have kept qualifying, I couldn't quit myself. I needed that to happen for me. And so it's just, I felt like I didn't have a cap on the story, but I still had a good story where I could end it like, this is what God did. But he wasn't done. And then what happened there was just like, you know what I mean? It's my future seminar for sure. It's what it's already about family and faith and fishing, but now it's more, I hate to say storybook ending, but
it's an ending that a lot of professional anglers don't get in this game, because there's very few anglers who have with the way that it's set up. Like when you're a quarterback and you're done, they're saying, hey, there's 28 teams that no longer want you on, you're done. There's no done in fishing, because you could jump back on in the opens, you could jump on the pro circuit, you could move over to the MPFL. There's always another avenue to still be considered a professional angler, which is good in some ways, but also, like you're saying, man, there's a strong pull for a lot of guys that as long as they can still launch the boat and get on it, they're going to do it.
Yeah. What happens if Denny Brower calls tomorrow and says, hey, Dave, we're starting the Black and Blue Jig Tour, Old Man's Tour up the river.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Oh, you're in. You're 100% back in it.
Yeah. I mean, and Skeet will be in it too. So one of the reasons I didn't retire is because of that. The other reason is the guy with yellow shoes is retiring. He retired twice, last year at stage 7. And here, I can't compete with that guy. So, I mean, he's retiring. Let him have his moment. He's one of my biggest mentors and just one of the greatest guys that I know. So I feel like retiring and fishing is kind of almost dumb. You know what I mean? Because I feel like he'll be back and I'll be back, and we're starting a new business here. If everything works out right, back in the day, I was mad because there wasn't enough tournaments. I was one of the guys that fished both tours, and we fished 17 tournaments plus championships plus special events. And it was always 21, 23 events a year. So I was always mad that we didn't fish 50 like every other sport. And then now I'm realizing, hey, the thing that I hated when we dropped to 7 tournaments a year, now it's a hobby. And to be a professional, you can't just win. I mean, unless you're Wheeler, but you got to do social media. You got to do all the other stuff that goes with it. And sure, there's enough room for 50 of the best guys in the world to make a solid living fishing. But guess what? With 7 tournaments, I can do that as a hobby. Like if this business takes off that I'm doing, and someday me and Ann want to jump in a camper and do it like we used to do it, with traveling with the fifth wheel and a boat and just do some of these tournaments. I mean, look, they're almost done and it's not even June. You know what I mean? It's not like it's I don't know. To me, it's just not a legit sport unless you're doing all the other stuff. Those other sports, those guys don't have to have a Facebook page or an Instagram. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're running a 35 races out of the 52 weeks or whatnot. And we're seeing a number of guys. Like I said, I'm talking with Brandon Cobb this week, and he's fishing the 6 MPFLs along with the 8 or 10. So he's got 15, 16 in there. And there was a number of years there where you saw, I think Ish did it, and you did it. A number of different guys did it to where they'd fish some FLW, either back when they had the opens or things that didn't conflict, that they allowed you to fish more. But yeah, that's interesting. So what I'm getting at is this is not like hey, you will never see me on the front deck of a bass boat in a major tournament again. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. Like, are you retiring? Are you not retiring? Are things up in the air? Is it just you're going to listen based on your faith and your family, and things that transpire in the near future kind of depends on your extended future?
I'd say that's a good way to put it. I have no interest in doing that anymore. I can't describe how much I love what I'm doing now, and for the opportunity that God has put in front of me. It's a supernatural thing. And it's all of my gifts, not just fishing. I mean, I'll always be a fisherman at heart. I love everything about fishing, but there's so many other things that I love, just artsy things and digital things, and like stuff that you're doing. I love that. And it's obvious that you love it. It oozes out of you. So those things that you love come from your creator. And I'm thankful to be able to do, multiple things like the TV show, just designing stuff. I'm sitting in the cafe right now, just designing things. And, what else? The music part of it is huge. There's just so many other aspects that this all ties together, and I'm able to keep up with the fishing, not professionally or competitively so much, but I'm able to keep up with it through my TV show and fish locally. And dude, I haven't seen the buds come out. I'm sitting here looking out the window. I'm in Erie, Pennsylvania, and it's spring right now. And I usually leave in January for the last 23 years. Go to Florida, and I don't get back until now, right about now. And I leave when we're ice fishing, and I come back when it's green. And I can't even explain how cool it is to just do yard work with my wife. You know what I mean? Like, and see the buds come out and see spring and see spawning smallmouth. You know what I mean? It's like, I haven't seen that yet, but I will. They're still spawning.
Plus, I mean, you're up. You're up 200K this year. You got no entry fees. You're up 200K. Like, it's going to be one of the most profitable years of your career because you don't have the travel. You don't have the entry fees. You go fish for 6 days and you got 6 figures in the bank account. I mean, you could have grinded for all that. I mean, you've had great 6-figure, just straight winning years like that and stuff, but still, I mean, it's like one and done.
Yeah, I was telling Ann that the other day. I'm like, holy moly, we're always shelling out $50,000 in entry fee and all this gas expenses with everything going up like this. And I've been losing some sponsors, not the ones that I had really good family relationships, personal relationships with, but I lost my big money sponsors, throughout the Bass Pro Tour years by sucking. So it's like, man, look at what just happened. This is like, for the way I've been fishing, this is like 10 years worth of money right here.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, in case I didn't get a chance, solar bat, sunglasses. Gary, I met in the original days, like way back when I had a Skeeter, and stuck with me for this long. And then when you're struggling, and for those guys like Lowrance, Power Paul, those longtime sponsors that I've had forever, to just hang on, it's just, I can't describe it, how thankful I am. And Dakota Lithium, been with them for probably 8 years now, and just not big money deals, but it helped every little bit when you're struggling like I was, really helps. And for them to send me new batteries going to Florida and fighting with that low water hydrilla in practice, it's like I needed every little piece of that. Trust me, I needed it, because in practice, I'm just flipping. Like, I put the trolling motor down and I'm going through that stuff, trying to find a needle in a haystack. And without that, I don't find these fish, So
did you let him know that boat had just sat outside for 7 months?
What's that?
Did you let him know that boat had just sat outside for the last 6 months through the winter? Yeah,
the boat, it's just a vessel, man. The stuff that's connected to it. I mean, you can count. I called Cheryl at Lowrance when I checked my boat out, and I'm like, I didn't even put my covers on my units. They were like condensated beyond the max, like, and
everything just fired up.
Hot, cold, everything fired up. All 5 units are still connected together, talking to each other. It's like I scan out there and see a smallmouth swimming. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 80 feet away. It's like everything's just like I left it in July or August.
You mentioned solar bat. So I have a bunch of different sunglasses. I've got, I think, I had a listener that a year ago we were at 2 years ago now, we were at an open at Eufaula, and he rolled up and he's like, hey, I know how much you like those old KVD red Oakleys, because they had a small frame. So I still have that pair that he just got me like off of eBay. I've got a pair of Waterlands. I've got another pair that I just stopped at a tackle store because my sunglass game is not dialed in. So I pulled up solar bat here. Which ones would you recommend if I am going to go on here and take advantage of the Father's Day sale, even though I'm not a father? But what do you think is the best all around pair of solar bats to give a shot to, Dave?
So I'm kind of I got a little bit bigger than average head. That third one to the right is one
RB3s.
That one and the middle one, both of those are the two that I wear.
Okay.
And they're both good for a larger head, but they're still good for normal sized humans too.
Okay. Overall lens color?
For on camera, I usually wear the mirror, the mirror ones, because they just look, that's kind of in right now.
You can't see the kind of a little bit of the creepy eyes behind them like you can with some of the lighter ones.
Amber's my favorite, that right there. Okay. But when you put a camera on that, you look like you're from outer space. So I wear those when I'm fishing and not on camera. And then when I'm on camera, I usually wear the mirrored one so you can't see me crying like a baby.
There you go. 160.
And the other thing is I wear prescription. So that's actually the Randy Blockett pair. But I wear prescription.
Yeah, I just went fishing with him.
Huh?
I just went fishing with him.
I saw
last
that.
month. Took him out live scoping on Table Rock.
That's crazy. That reminded me. I actually saw that, and I was like, I looked at it just like an experience that I had. I was instrumental in taking that Alabama rig and kicking it out of pro fishing. I don't know if you remember.
No.
Oh yeah, I was the Randy Blockett of the Alabama rig, but it didn't take that long. Randy's still going after 4 years. It only took me a couple.
What did you do? Okay, so let's see if I can remember this right. That would have been October 2011 FLW Open. Paul Elias, Andy Poss giving out the rigs in the parking lots, all that. Some of the guys had him in the boats. He gets around the bridge pilings. By the end of that, everyone's fashioning him out of coat hangers and all that. And then it's all the rage for the next 6 months. It was allowed in the Opens for a couple years. Elite Series outlawed it. FLW kind of allowed it. So walk me through how, if you're cool with that going back. I mean, that was a long time ago, but what was the process?
Yeah, as long as I don't get the hate mail again, all over again. I actually looked back at my emails from that time period, and it was like, whoo, That was rough. Like, I didn't want to go through that again with forward facing or any of that stuff.
You were like, I don't feel like this is good for the sport.
No, I thought it was horrible. I saw what Elias did. I called him. I'm like, and then it turned out to be me against him for like whatever that year. I think it lasted for like 2 years, and I wouldn't throw it. It cost me. I mean, that was the prime of my career too. Mm-hmm. I could not compete without it.
It was bigger than the Koike, believe it or not, for those of you who are less than 30 that are listening to this show right now. The last time we saw, and you can throw, I mean, you could throw the Cinco when that got big. You could throw the Chatterbait, but that was kind of a slow build. The instant I have to have this and I will have it no matter what it costs and what it costs me personally or financially. The two are the Alabama rig and the Koike, and we're seeing the Alabama rig all over with the Koike, just indifferent. So anyway, just backstory on that. So did you like write letters? Did you try to go to like the anglers?
Everything we could, try to get as many anglers on board with getting it out of the tournaments. And I mean, I was the only one living it that wasn't doing it. And I got justified hate mail, justified comments, I would say, about, well, if you don't use it, you're going to get your butt handed to you. And sure enough, that's what happened. I mean, there were days when I had 20-pound bags at like dumb, like lakes that didn't have 20-pound bags, but they were catching 25 on that thing. And I just got buried. If you look at my stats, those 2 years, that was like devastating to me. I still had some flash in the pan moments, but it wasn't like the last 6 years where I've been struggling. You know, it's not, that was the prime, you know, of my career. And I sacrificed a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, right. Those after that, those were your two lowest pro circuit finishes. And that you did good in 12, but that 13, 14 were your two lowest. I mean, other than that, you're pretty much top 20 and everything. Yeah.
And if you look at my weights back in, if it was just a normal tournament, dude, I was the only one fishing normal. Like there was one of me. And so it was devastating because I'd have some really, really good tournaments back in the stat, you know, doing what you're supposed to do, but couldn't compete, not even remotely. But but I don't know how we got sidetracked. That had to be your fault.
It totally was. But that's what I love about this show. Like, we can wormhole all we want.
The Randy thing, when you took him fishing, that took me back to when Blake Nick was an Alabama fisherman, a really good friend of mine. And he said, hey, man, I want to take you Alabama rig fishing because I don't know what it's about. I know nothing. Dude, we went to Chickamauga and caught 6 fish over 10 pounds, had an 11, just throwing that all day long on just bluff walls. Maybe the first year that it came out, maybe the second. I don't know if it was between all that or after after it got banned. I think it was before it got banned. And it just opened my eyes to how good it was, because I wanted to do experience. You know how my brain works.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to fish this bluff wall.
No, I don't really. Not many people do, Dave.
No, but I'm anal about it. We got out, we had 3 days to fish. We went to this bluff wall and fished it with jigs and hair jigs and spoons and caught like a couple of 3.5 pounder. I remember I had like a 6 pounder get off. We fished it back and forth, both transitions, the whole wall. Then we went back with the Alabama rigs and caught like 3 10s and 2 8s. You know what I mean? Like, oh gosh, that thing was unbelievable.
We need to take a break. Are you good time-wise? There's a certain period of your career that I want to go back to. And I don't know if it's maybe just because it's when I was first getting into the sport or not, but FLW during the team deal, like I've had like Brett Hyde on to talk about the Imodium AD chewables days, not the chewable days, and all sorts of those. But there were like a handful of guys who I thought like got the coolest team deals, and I would be curious now that it's so far back to talk about the Tony the Tiger Frosted Flake days, because like that was like one of the coolest raps I think that there's ever been. And for an entire period of your career, like you were Dave Lefebre, Frosted Flakes Pro, and you were also easy to find on the water when we were out taking photos. So are you good if we take a quick break and we come back and then go back? I mean, I think were you Frosted Flakes when you won your first major tournament in 2004, or were you Keebler? I think you were Frosted Flakes then. But all right, we're talking with 2026 Heavy Hitters champion, clean swept it, 200K a couple weeks ago. Dave Lefebre. It's BTO. We're back. Regular full week of shows. Lefebre today, Cliff Pace tomorrow. He's been busy as hell too. He's got are you familiar with Pace's Black Label and all the stuff that he's doing? Dude,
he's killing it.
Phenomenal. Like you get Cliff Pace going and you're like, dude, this is one of the most interesting guys in the sport. But you catch him on the right day and you get him talking about the right stuff. And I mean, his knowledge. And then David Walker, who speaking of cereals, David Walker's another cereal guy. We'll have the cereal show week on it. But we'll be back in 2.5 minutes right after this with Dave Lefebre.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Before there were hashtags, there were handshakes and shared stories. They gave us confidence to make our first cast and chase our dreams. They taught us to fish, and in the process, taught us about life. They taught us that success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about lifting others up. The future isn't just about selling tackle. It's about 3 simple words. Let's go fishing. Here's to the original influencers.
When I'm in a tournament, conditions are constantly changing and every second matters. With the Deep Dive app, I can instantly pull up all the current lake conditions all in one spot. So no more looking at weird government websites. In just one quick glance, I have water clarity, water level, wave forecast. It's all right there in the Deep Dive app. Download the Deep Dive app and get all the tools you need to put together an awesome tournament.
Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's 2 best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit probassadventures.com or email probassadventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live. All right, welcome back. BTL on a Monday, chatting with Dave Lefebre. Have you ever done the Mexico thing, Dave?
No, I'm scared to get the shots.
They will smoke an Alabama rig on Baccarat, let me tell you.
Yeehaw.
No, it's pretty wild down there. It's there's like I think we did like 38 over 8 in the last trip.
Oh wow.
In like 4 days. All right, let's go back to the old. I'm a huge fan of the old FLW days, and I've talked to a number of different guys that were like, man, we bitched and moaned about a bunch of things that we didn't like back in the team. We're talking Erwin Jacobs team series, final day, butter, Imodium, Cheez-Its, cereals, all sorts of cool stuff. And then you actually watch some of that and you're talking battery packs and old school drones and boom mics and the stuff, the camera packs that they put on you guys. It seems, and I would love to hear but it seems like you got on tour and you were pretty early on picked up with an FLW tour team deal. Is that accurate?
Yeah, pretty quick. I think I ran a Skeeter from Vic Sports Center the very first year. And then after that, it was Kellogg's the entire time.
How did that happen? Is that like a call where it's just like, hey, we're so-so from FLW. We like what you're doing. Are you interested in a team deal? Was it based on like, how did those team deals come about? Because it was weird. Like there's certain guys like Alvin Shaw with the Cheez-Its, you with the Keebler and that I've mentioned all those. Like how were those like worked back in the day?
Yeah, so back then, they had a guy that worked with Ranger and with FLW. His name was Aaron Hall, and he passed away several years ago. But he turned, after I got the deal, he was just such a good human being that we became really good friends. He came up here and fished with me with Dave Mahler, who was also involved in that. But Aaron was kind of like the liaison to the teams. So he would say, hey, you know, and it was to guys that were whacking them, a lot of newcomers. Like I was a newcomer. And he, you know, they just looked for people that could communicate well and fish well at the same time and sell product. So it was just one of those phone calls and, you know, hey, we got an opportunity for you. We'd like you to meet, you know, so-and-so with Kellogg's. And her name was Kristen Schweitzer at the time. And we just hit it off, you know, personally. I liked a lot of the seminars and things that I did were for kids. I did a lot of high schools and stuff like that. So we felt like Kellogg's would be a good fit to get some of the younger, you know, the attention of some of the younger kids and stuff. And I just ate it up. I loved it.
Did you have any say into what brands you represented? Because I mean, you had like an elf and a tiger with like cool wraps on both of them. Like some of them were like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But you ended up having like what I would say some of the cool wraps, which I think helped your publicity, your career, the kids have a lot of fans on it. Would you agree with that statement too?
Yeah, it was awesome. I think back to those days and I'm like, what happened, you know? But it was like you said, it was the demographic that I really wanted to communicate with. And it just, you know, just magnified that to a massive degree, being able to reach out to that age group. As far as having say in anything, you know, Tony the Tiger was the main brand for them. So I wanted that. But if you remember, Clark Wendlandt had that.
Yep.
Before I did. And I forget something happened. I don't know if he switched brands or whatever, but when that became available, and then when people started calling me Keebler Lefebre,
yeah,
you know, I was like, hey, maybe we should switch brands, you know? So as soon as that became available, obviously that's what I wanted. I think it's the most recognizable brand that Kellogg's had at the time. And
did you get an inordinate amount of Tony the Tiger cereals and Frosted Flakes and all that for free? Like, I mean, were you like rolling deep in it at the Lefebre household for a number of years?
So a lot of people didn't know at the time and maybe still don't. Kellogg's owns so many brands, and you caught me off guard, so I can't remember. But we tried to eat healthy. So Kashi was one of them.
Okay.
So they had a ton of cereals, and there was a lot of meat products that we got, breads. I mean, you name it. We got an allowance on food that was ridiculous. Like they just bring crates to your house. My garage was full of healthy stuff, you know. And then you get the Frosted Flakes to give out, you know, to the kids, the little boxes and stuff like that. But the deals back then, Matt, I mean, it's another one of the reasons I don't want to be in it anymore. It's just going down. It's just gone nothing but downhill since. Not for the people working behind the scenes and making all the money, but for the fishermen. We were fishing for $1 million back then every year. Yeah. You know what I mean? And our deals, you know, nobody really talks about the deals, and I'll let somebody else do it first, but the first person who does it, I'll be right behind them. The deals were incredible. Like I just see these people saying how bad the deals were back then, and maybe their deal was, but I know what me and some of our buddies were doing, and you're talking 2 free trucks, insurance, cash on top, you know, and like I said, the food perks, you know, you're just no bills, you know, 2 trucks. We had 2 trucks. My wife drove a Suburban with the boat behind it, and I drove a Duramax diesel with a 40-foot fifth wheel behind it. And no insurance, no payments, cash on top. Like I said, no entry fees on top of that. I mean, those deals still exist for a few of the guys today, but it was pretty cool. I'm looking at that picture.
Yeah. Let's see if I can do it. Vic Vadalero, you, Shin, Gags, and Jim Tutt.
No, you were wrong on the Gags one. You want me to give you another crack?
That's not Gagliardi?
No.
Oh, that's Greg Bohannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him on the show. He's with he's Pringles now.
Is he now? I don't even know.
I believe so. Yeah, Greg Bohannon is with Pringles because he still runs a Pringles wrap and has a relationship with them. And I had Greg Bohannon on the show that talked about how he was able to maintain that relationship after the team deals ended with FLW.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he lives
Does he not kind of look like Anthony Gagliardi?
Not at all. Zero.
Oh. I always remember Alvin Shaw with the Cheez-Its too. Alvin Shaw was by far the later Cheez-Its guy.
This was toward the end of the deal because Shin wasn't on it. That was Alvin. Bohannon was Pringles, I think, there at the end. Vic wasn't on it very long.
Mm-hmm. And Vic had that wild thing where half of his face got frozen for a couple years.
Yeah, and I think that was during that period, maybe when it was coming back. Hey, Vic, if you're watching this, you owe me that jack. Hurry up and send it. He's ignored my text yesterday.
Oh. You still stay in touch with a lot of these guys from back in the FLW days?
Yeah, a lot of them. But I'll tell you what, getting 380 texts since that win, and some people that we just kind of lost touch, like Alvin. I drive through Statesville, North Carolina all the time, and I always think of him, but we never really talked, and we got a chance to catch up a little bit. And some of the old guys like Tracy Morgan and David, what's his name? There are just so many people, and Bohannon, guys you just lose track of. When you go your separate ways, you're just so busy, and a lot of times you just don't take the time to keep up with everybody. So that's been one of the greatest parts of this, is like reconnecting with people. I'll get a text and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I forgot about you, So
you're still doing the Erie Extreme stuff with that's how people can kind of keep up with you. You're having new season stuff coming out of that as well.
Yeah, Erie Extreme with Dave Lefebre. It's just a local TV show, but I've been neglecting that over the since it started. And that's it right there. And you can watch, I don't know, there's 100 episodes on there. They're not really for the guys like you and me. They're more like for old ladies.
Okay.
But it's
old
just
lady demographic.
Yeah, well, it's 65 to 70-year-old. That's our demographic.
Okay.
But we just love going and highlighting the area. We live in just a freaking outdoors rich environment in Erie, Pennsylvania. There's so much to do. And I'm just going out and doing stuff like coyote hunting, stuff that we're going to be going coon hunting, and a lot of dumb fishing things that I like, fly fishing that I don't ever do, and fishing for weird stuff. So it is just a blast. We bluegill fish, do whatever, take kids fishing. Just a lot of fun. And then we film it like, we don't do like typical TV shows where you wear the same shirt for 2 or 3 days and try to fake it. It's like, if we suck, it gets aired anyway. And those are the most viewed ones. We're like the #1 show in Erie on the NBC affiliate. And it seems like the people like that. Like when you show them that, oh yeah, I guess a pro can go out there and do exactly what we just did, blow a boat trailer tire and have a bad day and not catch any fish. So
very cool. I'm a big proponent, especially with as I guess competitive as high school and junior fishing is now, of teaching and learning and enjoying catching fish. Not, I'm 13 and I have to do well in this 375 boat junior tournament where 6 guys are going to start on the same point. I think it's way more beneficial to not fish tournaments younger, and to take the night crawlers and to go catch the bluegill when they're spawning, and to catch the crappie off of the stumps with the cork, and to figure out, oh my gosh, you can throw a jerkbait in the White River for brown trout and to become a well-rounded angler. And I look at that more as, you talk to a lot of guys who are professional athletes and they played 3, 4, 5 sports growing up. They don't just get burned out on one thing. You take little, like Steve Kennedy's a great example of that to me too. Like you talk about, with his dad Van, he grew up like with the current fishing and all that and all the different species, still loves going out and catching. Like to me, that is so valuable for that younger demographic to learn about fishing and different species and having fun and targeting. Like I still have a difficulty, Dave, like if an alligator gar comes up in a tournament, I have a difficulty not putting a bait in front of that fish and seeing if it'll eat it. And I don't care what tournament it is. I've gotten distracted on Champlain during official practices where I ended up coming in with 15 jumbo yellow perch in the live well because I found a school and I followed them around. Yeah. I mean, I've done it. I went to Cherokee and I ended up spending half of my open practice catching hybrid stripers. Like, I'm just obsessed with just catching fish. And that is like, I can't tell you how many times I've been in a tournament. I'm like, damn, I wish I didn't have to practice for this open and I could just go do that. Like when they start blowing up on Hartwell and you're like, okay, we're fishing for striper for the next 2 hours. I don't give a damn about finding East Cane piles.
We've stayed extra days at places by seeing hybrids blowing up somewhere, hey, after the tournament's over, we're doing it. Or big shell crackers like this on bed. Yeah. It's like, we got to do that after this tournament. Dude, one time in practice, I'm going to dumb you up. This is dumber than anything you've ever done. We were at Kentucky Lake and they had these grass carp or some kind of carp. I don't know if it was those ones that.
The Asian carp or the big head carp?
Ones. Yeah, they were feeding, like it was springtime and these buds were falling on the water.
Oh, those are probably real carp.
And they were different looking, like big, clean looking, crystal clear. And they were eating these buds off the water. And I'm like trying to figure out, I got a crappie jig in my boat, couldn't get one to bite. So in official practice for an FLW tournament on Kentucky Lake, I might have won that one actually. I'm like picking those buds off the water, tying it to my line and trying to get it out there far enough. And dude, I caught like 2 of those big things. I videotaped it. That's the dumbest thing I ever did. Yeah. But yeah, I'm like you. I'm a fisherman at heart.
Did you ever in FLW draw one of the fly fishermen co-anglers?
What's that?
You never drew back in FLW? There were a couple guys who fish as co-anglers who fly fished out of the back.
I never even heard of
You never drew one of those guys?
No.
No. You don't remember that? There were like 2 guys and they fished with a fly rod out of the back of the boat as co-anglers for the whole year.
I literally kicked them out of my boat. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
And especially now, like when you scope with a minnow, you can kind of get everything to eat it for the most part. I was just on Table Rock with Mark Jeffries. We were doing a charity tournament and I kept having the big fuzzies on the screen that would turn around and kind of follow it. And I'm like, I'm 99.99% sure those are drum, but they wouldn't bite, but they followed it enough to where I would still cast. And I finally caught one. It was like a 26-pound drum. And I was so freaking happy that I finally hooked it and was like, cool. Now that we'd wasted 3 hours figuring out you knew they weren't bass, but I mean, it's still awesome when you reel into something. It's just,
yeah. If you lived where I live though, you wouldn't like catching drum. I'm drummed out.
Those alligator gar on Sam Rayburn. So like you can see them in the tops of the trees. Like early in the year, they'll suspend in the tops of the trees and they'll eat a 7-inch minnow if you put it on an 1/8-ounce jig head and you just do, and they'll just be a big ball and then they'll turn into gigantic alligator gar. I spent like 3 hours catching alligator gar on a minnow on a spinning rod and practice it. I mean, we're talking like 5, 6, 7 foot long things where you reel and then they come up and they get one toss and they throw your minnow. But dude, it's so much fun.
Did you ever, man, are we sidetracked or what? Did you ever snag the paddlefish?
I just did that for the first time this year with my buddy Austin Cranford, who just made it. Barbless 12-aught hook. Put it on an 8-foot extra heavy flipping stick, 80-pound braid, and then you put the weight below the hook. And all the regulations have changed around here, but I'm an hour and a half from Keystone Lake, which has the last like 4 world records. So we're talking like 120, 130 pound spoonbills. And
the only thing that tops that is I just ate dinner with Shaw Grigsby after I won before we left for home. he is active targeting alligators.
Oh yeah,
They're
that's like his job now.
Yeah,
nuisance
that's
gators. I think his kid's doing it with him.
Yeah, we were gonna do it, but we had to get home. So
here, I'll show you 1 second here.
I think he took Edwin and Ott out.
Here, yeah. If you're ever around the Oklahoma area, that's Austin right there. He called me up.
Oh wow.
And I'll tell you something interesting. Okay, so
oh wow.
There's the bait going down. That's me in the top corner. This is way harder than it looks. I mean, dude, it just absolutely owes you. And we're just like out in the middle.
Is that your first one?
Yeah, that's my very first one ever.
Man, yeah, I can't imagine.
And then you put them on the back tail.
Do you have that on YouTube?
Yeah, that's on Austin Cranford's channel. We each caught a couple of them, but I called up Gene Gilliland and talked to some guys afterwards, and it's amazing how hardy those fish are because it's a barbless hook, so it just kind of sticks in their side, nothing. And then they've done studies, their survival rates, like this doesn't bother them, so they went from like 1 a day and all that to like you can keep like 2 basically treated like a deer. Like you have to tag it, you have to call it in. I did like YouTube research because I was like, oh, those would be cool to eat. It's so much work. It's like, and I don't live in a place where you can like gut a deer. I mean, I do, but like we just threw them back. Like I have no desire to keep them. Like it's something that I'd like to do like 2 or 3 times a year. But I think the biggest one that I caught like a 70, 80 pounder.
Wow. I've never even seen one of those up close.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, look at that thing.
Oh, wow. That is so awesome.
They're very cool fish.
They are. I can't believe the way they jump. They scare the living daylights out of you sometimes.
Yeah.
Cool.
One more question, and then I'll let you go. We got to get a music question in here. I have no idea what this means, but Jim says, Dave, I still have my Ibanez bass guitar from 1989. What's your oldest bass, and is there a story behind it?
Yeah, my oldest bass, it's up in my attic somewhere. It's oh gosh. So my dream was to always have a homemade Sandberg guitar. They're made out in California. So that's what I play now. Oh man, I can't think of it. It's the guitar that maybe he'll comment back. It doesn't have a headstock. So you tune it down on this end. And there's only one brand that used to be like that.
You're on your own here. You're talking foreign language to me. So
yeah, but maybe he'll comment because I cannot remember the brand. No headstock, so there's no tuning pegs down here. You know what a normal guitar looks like, right? Yeah. It has nothing there. So that's my oldest bass guitar that I used to love. It had a graphite neck, so it was like really fast, and if you like slapping and stuff, it's like it sounds so good. Well, I had this idea because I like natural colors, and it was a sunburst. You know what that means? Nope. Like every guitar is sunburst, and I'm like, I want to be different. So I scraped it all off, and I burned it like with a torch, like a big man torch. I've seen it. I can remember it might be Washburn. I forget. I think it used to be something before Washburn, but anyway.
So you took a blowtorch to it?
I took I took all the strings and components off. So now it's just and the neck and everything, and all I got is the body of the guitar. And I decided to blowtorch it, and I've got this man torch, and I'm like, whoa. And dude, it caught on fire. I could not put it out. Like it was charring, and I'm like, I left it outside. I'm trying to keep it away from dry grass and stuff, and I'm on fire. I run in the house and I get like water and I start dumping it on it. But it looked really cool after I did that. So I strung it back up. And as soon as I put pressure on it, like I got the strings on it, starting to tighten it, all the glue joints came loose because I burnt the glue and I ruined it. So that was like my favorite guitar and I ruined it. It's for sale.
I'm sure it is.
If I can find it.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. An hour and 15 minutes. Congratulations. One of the feel-good stories of the 2026 season. And it sounds like we may not see you again in the near future. We may see you again in the near future. You're not retiring, but you're not saying that you're making a comeback after this year. So it's up in the air.
You can, well, you say seeing me like I'm dying or something. Well, but seeing me, like there's a billion tournaments like Cayuga, Oneida, and then we got everything Sandusky to Detroit. You know, I live right on I-90, which connects all these great fisheries that all the tours, even the MPFL, they're all fishing that water. So a lot of fishermen like you will drive on 90 someday. So you need to stop. You can still see me. Like we got this, what we're doing now is called the 814 Grounds. And it's a coffee shop, cafe, music venue, events venue. So you can swing by here, get your lunch.
Is that where you're at now?
Yeah.
And you run it?
Yeah, we're opening it. We're getting the building permits next week. It's been a 4-month ordeal, but we're finally getting ready to start doing some demo work and building the outdoor patio and putting the kitchen in and bathrooms. And so like right now, instead of doing, I'll show you a little sneak. Whoa.
And you're going to be like running a coffee shop restaurant.
Yeah, but it's still connected to like helping people in community. And so like with veterans, elderly, any physically handicapped, we're going to be teaming up with other nonprofits in the area, doing what we can to help. And there's fishing classes. I'm going to be doing classes on, you know, how to take your kids fishing or catching instead of fishing, you know, for bluegills, or fishing without a boat, or handicap accessory fishing, and just trying to teach people how to do different things. So there's a big outdoors element to it. There's a big music element to it. And my wife has always worked in restaurants since she was a teenager. So this was her dream. And it's kind of a combination of the two things that we love, or all the things that we love. So anyway, 814 Grounds, you can follow us everywhere.
There's a bunch of stuff online for it.
It's
Is this website the band 814? Is that still?
That's my band, yeah.
So and that's still like?
We're building like a concert venue. Yep, that's us. Where we travel so much, and a lot of the gigs are 2 to 5 hours away. So instead of traveling, we're building our own venue, set up all the lights and equipment, and start having some, you know, bi-weekly or monthly events right here in Erie, because we're like right between Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Cleveland, where, you know, there's a big base of people that can drive to come to these events. So.
How many of I'm assuming these are your, what do they call them, bandmates?
Yep.
How many of them have any idea what professional fishing is? Or are they like, oh, Dave goes off and does his own thing and then comes back and plays when he's.
So the guy in the middle, Perry, he's familiar. He ice fishes with me a lot. And
okay.
The guy him with the black shirt.
Yeah.
That's my little brother, Nate. He's 15 years younger than me. He's the drummer and the bass player. So, and then the other 3 are 17 to 20-year-olds that are just prodigies. Like they are Brandon Poliniks of music. So
I like that. You had the Keebler Lefebre, and now you have the Barista Lefebre.
Oh, don't start stuff, dude. Don't start it.
Do you know how to make like a latte, like with the machine where it's like, okay, so you've got the smoke and the cream and all that stuff?
I tried. If you go to my TikTok, don't do it now. I mean, it's the Grounds 814 Grounds TikTok. I actually was able to make something that resembled a heart at one time. But
really,
you talk about that stuff is super hard to do.
Yeah.
We just bought a brand new espresso, top of the line, like a really good one. We don't have a kitchen yet, so we're waiting for the water lines to get it hooked up so we can start practicing. But the girl in the band photo that was right beside me, her name's Alexis. She's our barista. So her dream, she's manager at McDonald's right now, one of the youngest in the country, actually. And she's going to be running the coffee side of things. So that'll be her.
Okay. And it's in Harbor Creek.
I boss people around.
Harbor Creek,
PA. Yeah.
You need to start doing a show from there once a week live, Dave. Everyone else has a live show. You need to hop on the bandwagon. Why not add another one to it?
I think we're gonna. We've been filming some podcasts and stuff and seeing maybe we might jump into something like that.
Sorry, I wasn't aware that this was currently actively happening right now. So like you win the 200K, you've got all this stuff.
We're just starting to talk about it. I figured, hey, I mean, we weren't even going to talk about it because we're about 2 months, month and a half to 2 months before we open. But I figured with winning a tournament, they're getting some media. So I mean that just because of interviews like this, I mean that all the 814 ground stuff, like the Facebook page went from 500 or 600 up to 2,000 overnight. Everybody,
dude, it's everywhere. Professional fisherman Dave Lefebre and his wife Ann are opening a cafe in Harbor The space will be more than a little cafe with expansion plans in the work. 814 grounds, 3-stage plan, includes an outdoor shop and an event center. Business seems to be a hub for it, and then there's a bunch of different articles on it, so you guys can check that out.
Yeah, we're anxious. It's the next.
I gotcha. So that's why you've got the TVs in the background and everything. You're in there like just.
Yeah, that's like the stuff.
Working on it right now.
Oh yeah, we build our own tables. I'm staining today. We're wrapping windows and trimming out the building and just making everything.
If I'm going from Oklahoma to Champlain later this year, how close do I get?
Oklahoma to Champlain. It depends on which way you go, but you should come up through Cleveland, I would think, and you come right across.
That's how.
Yeah, you'll be 6 miles. We're 6 miles off the interstate.
I might have to stop and get a Dave Lefebre brewed heart-shaped latte.
Mad, like, when somebody texts me like a week after they were here, like, "Hey, I was just in your neck of the woods." I'm like, "You idiot! Why didn't you call me?" Text me when you're coming through. And
fishing the Bass Nation Regional. It's all about the carrot, right? Fishing
nice.
Still, you got that carrot to try to get into the national championship at Hartwell.
Good thing there's a bunch of rabbits.
Yeah.
What would they do?
A bunch of rabbits, all chasing the carrot. All right, Dave, I'll let you get back to work. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I enjoyed the hell out of this show.
Me too, man. I told you before we started filming, but I'm proud of you, man, because I know you from way back.
Yeah,
and I
back when I carried Jeffrey's stuff. Well, I just fished with him, and I still carried his stuff. So,
what's that?
I said it back. You knew me back when I would just truck Jeffrey's stuff around. Well, I also covered that FLW tour one of the first years. Remember, I was with Chad Morgenthaler. I did stuff with him, and then he was staying with Glenn Brown at the time too. So, we would do stuff every single day. And Jeffrey's literally my first year out of college said, okay, your training grounds here's the 6 stops and you're going to go do daily coverage and on the water coverage of the FLW tour. And I would get in a Ranger boat with one of the local guys and go out on the water and shoot photos of everybody every single day on it. So that was kind of how I broke into it, was covering kind of prime Dave Lefebre, Andy Morgan, David Dudley, Brian Thrift.
Yeah, you were
Clark
one of the
Wendlandt.
Like you were one of the guys that we saw all the time, part of the family. So it's cool to see you still going. I've been out of it. Like you said, I haven't won in forever. So you don't get to do these interviews when you're not winning.
Yeah. And we didn't even get into it, but I mean, you had that big career with FLW, and then you had there was that change to the MLF, but before that you had qualified for the Elite Series through the Open. So then just as you're getting comfortable in the Elite Series, then the BPT opportunity, you only had the 3 years on the Elite Series. We had some really good tournaments. Then the BPT opportunity comes, and it takes a couple years to get comfortable in that. So it was and you're right there kind of in the prime. So it was a real interesting kind of 5 years right there between that FLW transition to the elites, this is your home, and then back to the FLW/MLF, and then you're at that point in your life. A lot of transitional and a lot of big life decisions to be made during that kind of 4 or 5 year time frame.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like you said, I got comfortable. I worked really hard to get back to bass, and then you get there, made the classic. Almost won the classic. I should have. And then the next year, boom, here's the new thing coming. And trust me, I didn't jump. I was the last one to jump. You can ask anybody at Bass. I was everybody out, the whole field was set, and I was either going to take the opportunity or miss it. And, beyond the deadline, I think it was the day after, I was yeah, I guess. I mean, you see Skeet and Van Dam, and you see all the names that are doing it, Christy, Hackney, Ike and Ellie, everybody. And it's I feel like I'd be stupid not to take the opportunity. No entry fees. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, no, you went into that. I think a lot of people don't remember you went into that. That was the Conroe Classic. If I remember, that was the Jordan. Yeah, that was the Jordan Lee Classic where he had that crazy comeback. But you were in second heading into the final day of that classic. Like you were just and especially on a lake like Conroe, 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds behind him. Was it Brent Ayler who was leading that going into the final day?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
weighing in the ball stadium.
What's that?
You guys weighed in the ballpark.
Yeah, it was a cool event.
The Astros Park.
Those events were top of the line. But obviously the Bass Pro or the Bassmasters Classic, it's humongous. But yeah, it's just one of those. You talk about execute. Those stupid fish did not execute on the last day.
What was the comment? We'll end it on that. What was the comment? Maybe. Comment. It was deep. I wish I had started.
You'll definitely have to send it to me because
maybe the fish lost me. Not he didn't lose the fish.
But the emotions are different in that. Like the fish is happy that he lost us.
Yeah.
We're not happy when we lose him. It's weird. It's a tough relationship we have with the fish.
Well, get back to getting the joint open and ready to rock and roll. Literally.
Thanks, Matt.
So thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Good times.
All right, there you go. Dave Lefebre. Take a final break, come back, wrap things up for the week. BTL on a Monday. We will be back right after this.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook. World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu, world's finest hook.
I fish in some of the worst elements across the country. Spring, that's a giant, dude. Summer, oh my gosh. Hi, look at that thing. Winter. It's so cold. And fall. Got a big one. That's awesome. Being comfortable and staying dry is the only option. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
At Beat Down Outdoors, we know you depend on your gear to hold up in any condition. We built for that. We test for that. In fact, we pride ourselves in that. Because we know when the time comes to test your gear, you aren't going to take it easy, so we won't. We build premium, made in the USA products that you can rely on in the moments when your equipment should be the last thing on your mind.
All right, wrapping things up here on a Monday. Great interview with Dave Lefebre. I said that to him on the show, and I'm serious. I had a number of guys that I talked to, and they didn't call me up to say, "Hey, I just want to let you know," but just talking around a lot of guys, and there's a lot of people that were really happy to see Dave Lefebre win that. That was a cool top 10. I think he said there are some portions where he saw Mark Davis in the background. He mentioned Skeet Reese got another crack at it there at the end. Gary Klein, a bunch of stuff, but we're kind of going, I don't want to say old school, but we do have a number of really good shows lined up for this week. It's going to be an evening show. It's a recorded show, recording it after this. Brandon Cobb, who's off to an incredible year and doing a lot of it power fishing. NPFL and Bassmaster Elite Series, has a chance to do pretty well in both of those as they kind of head towards the home stretch. And then tomorrow, Cliff Pace from Black Label. Just wanted to get him on, follow him on social media and see how many of the different baits that he has coming out. He's working on kind of a urchin style bait too then. And then another little bit of a nostalgic show, but a guy who's still going really strong. Saw him on the water in the Bassmaster Open on Kentucky Lake, and that's David Walker. There's just still in this game so much history. You can pull up next to a Rick Clunn, you can pull up next to a David Walker, you can pull up next to Mike McClellan, a Brett Hyde, all these guys just in the Bassmaster Opens, and while you're competing against them now, it's like really cool that these guys who have made such a mark and continue to make a mark on the history of the game are still at it. And then you talk to them and they're still genuinely enjoy it, are into it, love the competition aspect of it. And that is one of the things that makes bass fishing so unique. So that's all we got for today. Tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Cliff Pace, and then probably tonight. I think tonight we'll do a double dip. I'll probably drop either that or tomorrow night the Brandon Cobb episode. But I wanted to make sure I got him in. There's a little bit of kind of a gap between NPFLs and Elite Series and Bass Pro Tours. I'm not sure. I'd like to work in some stuff from the pro circuit that's going on right now at Eufaula, Oklahoma. Those guys have to be roasting out there. It's like mid 90s. I mean, it is like straight up heat. I got in the truck yesterday after having been gone and being up north, and it was like 111 is what it said in my truck. So, I mean, it's like mid 90s. Very interested to see if the urchin style, if the Koike bait with the 3 hours of the scope on Eufaula plays. It would not surprise me if this was another Koike derb. It also wouldn't surprise me if it didn't play at all and it ended up being a little bit more of an offshore derb. Probably somewhere in between there. But all right, that's all we got for today. We'll talk to everybody later. See ya.